Hey guys, I'm Rae.
And I'm Jason.
And today we are going on an adventure through history. We're at Gettysburg. What's the full name?
National Military Park.
Yes. Stay tuned. Alright, so we're just about to get our day started here. Obviously, we have Carmen, and that means Gettysburg is dog friendly. The only place they are not allowed is in the museum and in the visitor center. So they have a long walking path from the parking lot to the visitor center. So we took her on a walk up there and then just waited outside. And then what did you get?
Of course, we picked up the traditional national park map that shows us everywhere to go. Gettysburg is big, so they recommend taking the driving tour unless you book like a bus tour that they take you around. But because we have Carmen, we're taking a self-guided audio tour, and they actually have places marked where you stop. And then we bought a audio tour that came with some CDs. So there's a couple that required like downloading an app and all that, but you know, it just didn't feel right in Gettysburg to download an app. I just wanted the authentic Gettysburg CD experience.
Yeah.
And we've never used our CD player, so I'm hoping it works.
So, go for it.
All right, let's... Whoa. This is DVD player. We could have been watching movies this whole time?
No, absolutely not. Oh, how fancy.
Whoa. Mud smudges.
All right, does it work?
Whoa.
Invasion, screamed the headlines.
All right.
Northerners panicked. In June 1863, General Robert E. Lee marches his mighty, undefeated rebel army into Pennsylvania. Will Lee take Philadelphia, or perhaps Washington? Northerners are terrified. One man is not scared. President Abraham Lincoln. From Washington, Lincoln sees...
Okay, so we're not gonna bore you with the entire thing, but we are gonna take you on the journey today, so let's get this driving tour started. Alright, just doing a quick check-in. This statue monument is for, this is the North Carolina Memorial?
Yes.
And we're assuming it's North Carolina Memorial for the soldiers that were from North Carolina?
Yep, because right here is the Confederate...
Which way? Which way?
Alright, as you can see where this bus line is right here, this is the Confederate battle line here, and then let's rotate around, and then over here This line, this ridge, is the Union line.
So according to the CD that we're listening to right now, this is the battlefield for day 2.
Yeah. Day 1 night and day 2.
Yes, so we previously showed you, we didn't talk about it, but it was in the B-roll, the battlefield for day 1 where Gettysburg started. So it's really interesting. On the day 1, the Confederates just like whooped butt and pushed the Union back into the town, and so it's really interesting. On the CD they're telling you the story and the history, but then they also have these side stories of people who lived here, accounts of what it was like to have the soldiers come through the town because they were still in battle. So then they just started telling everyone, like, women and children, get in your basements, like get out of the town, like the battle is literally moving into the town because they pushed them so far back. So it kind of got me all teary-eyed because it was from like a woman's perspective of like going to the basement with, you know, when other women and children, and it was just terrifying to have this war happening above you. Yeah, so I do that when I listen to stories. I pretend I am that person, and it gets me emotional sometimes. So anyway, we are now hurrying off to stop number 6 because they're doing a reenactment today, right?
Yep.
Well, not one of their major ones, but just a little something that they do every weekend. So we want to catch that and show you guys. So let's go. Oh, I forgot to tell you that the statue here for this memorial was done by the same sculptor who did Mount Rushmore. So I thought that was really cool. Anyway, let's go. All right, so we just left the cannons and we look a little crooked because we're pulled over on the side of the road and there's a ditch. So anyway, that was really cool. So obviously it wasn't a reenactment. I honestly didn't know what it was, so I just assumed that, but it was an artillery show.
Yeah.
But they basically just showed the cannons and they didn't fire actual cannons. They just put the powder and fired the powder because these cannons can go up to 2 miles. I did not know that. That is insane. Anyway, it was very informative. They went and talked about every single person's duty. It's funny, like that was literally your job. You either just cleaned out the cannon, you loaded it. One person's job was literally bringing the ammo from one place to the cannon. That's it, that's your job. One person's job is to fire the cannon. Like literally all you do is pull the string. That's your job. I don't know, it made sense. It was really cool, and I guess if you're in a battlefield, you probably can only focus on one thing anyway, so I'm sure they did that for a reason.
Yeah, and we learned that they do reenactments like throughout the entire summer. I think they said they do them up until October.
They do it 30 weeks.
30 weeks. So the weekends, I think.
Oh, the weekends. That's right.
Can,
30 times?
You show up and go to your visitor center, and they have like who's doing what reenactment at what time, at which auto stop. So you can kind of plan around that. This one happened to be perfect timing for us because we were on our audio tour, and it brought us right to this spot right as they were starting. Yeah.
So I really liked it. That was a lot of fun. We left Carmen in the car for this one because she actually does really well with loud noises, but we didn't want to risk it. So we're only on stop 6, and there's how many stops here?
20 something.
I don't know if we're gonna get through the whole thing. It says if you do the full tour, it's 2 hours and 50 minutes. But then you also stop and you get out and you look at the monuments, and you take pictures, and like us, we stop and vlog. So I don't think we're gonna get through all of it today.
So there's 16 stops, it looks like.
Oh, 16.
So, and it shows 3 days of fighting. And so I think that's pretty cool. The stops kind of take you, like, we've been on the Confederate line the entire time. So I think it's gonna wrap us around, and we're gonna get to see day 2, like the main fighting area for the Union side. Because I can see memorials over there on the other side of the field, which is like really crazy to me too. Like, you're just literally standing where the Confederate soldiers' battle line was, looking towards the Union.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll be the same thing on the other side. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, it's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I don't like history, and I have no problem saying that. It interests me if it's given to me in a certain form. And so growing up, textbooks, I hated history. I did not find it interesting. So I'm learning, now that we've been on the East Coast, like actually coming to these places and getting to see it, you absorb it so much better. You understand the information so much better when you see it with your own eyes. So I think that's cool. And it makes me think of all the RVers that are homeschooling their kids who go out and like, this is a lesson and your kids are gonna remember this. Like, I don't remember jack from my history books. I probably shouldn't be openly admitting that, but like, this is how I learn. So it just makes me think that like, that's so cool for those kids. I know some Ooh, there goes the third cannon. That actually scared me.
Yeah, it's really too.
Anyway, yeah, so those kids I think are getting a great education and getting some hands-on experience, which is really cool.
Yeah, you're able to actually like mentally picture it when you're reading in a book, or even just looking through this guidebook we have. Like, it just doesn't do it justice, but standing here looking across the field, like, you're really able to understand. And then I think the other great thing is we went to Charleston before this and saw Fort Sumter, where the Civil War began, and like, even just seeing that, you thought it's like interesting, but now seeing like it started there and it's made its way all the way up here, like, it's very crazy.
Yeah, and to hear the stories of, you know, you read all the plaques and you can actually picture it. Even our campground, we're staying at the Thousand Trails Gettysburg farm this week, and we met the manager, and he ended up giving us a quick little tour of all of the tools that he had for the farm that used to be there. But we started talking about Gettysburg, and he was like, oh yeah, like the barn you're standing in right now, like soldiers were hiding in here or sleeping in here on their way to the battle. So that's just really cool. Like, even when where we're staying, soldiers have walked through that exact spot to get to where we are now. Anyway, it's cool. So coming from the person who really doesn't like history, I'm really enjoying myself. So
Carmen, how do you feel?
Do you like Gettysburg? Oh, look at that face, not pleased.
She says she wants more walking.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we gotta
she's
find
not
more
a fan
spots.
of the audio tour.
No, she's not. She's not engaged. She's not learning.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, off to the next stop. We stopped to show you this place. I have Carmen. I guess we'll just give a brief history. This place is called the Wheat Field, and on the battle of day 2, both armies they kind of just like, the way the lines formed, they both ended up having, imagine this wheat field as a square, and they each had 2 halves to make up the full square. So then it kind of came, the battle just came into this wheat field, and at the time this was an actual wheat field. It was a farmer's land, and they said the wheat was chest high, which obviously provided no protection, and so it was just a super, super bloody battle. So they were fighting all day, and they got to the wheat field about 5 p.m. I think is what it said. So then they fought for 3 more hours, if I remember correctly, and by the end of that time, over 4,000 soldiers on both sides had died or were injured. And so then they retreated for the night. There's people who survived, you know, and then wrote about this particular spot just being so bloody and just so traumatizing. And just, they said that when you looked from one end of the field over here to the other end of the field, there were so many bodies that if you wanted to walk across them without touching the ground, you probably could have. Like, that's how many bodies there were. It just feels so weird to be standing here. Like, it's so beautiful, all this tall grass with the wildflowers, and they've mowed this section for you to walk in. It's so pretty. But then you imagine that scene, and it's just eerie. To have that history and to know that history and then walk through it, you just feel
connected.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like if this was just any other field, right? There's fields exactly like this all over Pennsylvania, but like just knowing that that amount of like death and pain happened here. And then this is the place where that night, like one of the soldiers, I think it was a Confederate soldier, like sang.
Yeah,
like,
he just sang church.
Yeah, church songs. And then like they said it was the most beautiful thing that both sides have ever heard, and they were like both sides were clapping for him. Like one side of the trees and then the other side.
Yeah, because they had retreated into the trees, so everyone who was still injured on the battlefield still heard it. He was injured on the battlefield, that's where he was singing, and they said they think he was actually, they said where the cars were, so over there, like just injured, singing church songs in the middle of the night, and like both sides clapped, and it's weird. War is weird. Mm-hmm. There was also another story about 2 German brothers who said goodbye to each other in Germany, came over here. One went to New York, one went to New Orleans, and so they ended up on different sides of the war, and the first time they saw each other after leaving Germany was here at the Battle of Gettysburg, and they hugged on the battlefield and said hello.
Confederate soldier was taken.
Oh, he was taken.
And he was,
I thought it was the other way around.
Taken as a prisoner, and then the Yankee soldier died.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, okay. Guess I didn't listen to that story all the way. Anyway, that's just crazy to me that you have stories like that mixed into war. So, yeah, mixed emotions, but definitely interesting to be learning all of this. Alright guys, as you can see, things have changed. We called it quits at stop 12. Oh, big yawn. And then we found a pizza place that had outdoor seating so we could take Carmen. And we're actually in the town of Gettysburg right now. Super dog friendly, so if you're gonna come to the area, you can definitely bring your dog here. There's outside seating that allow dogs all down this main road.
Yep.
There's a ton of ghost tours, so we're definitely... So the reason we stopped at stop 13 is because we decided to come back next weekend. We knew we wanted to do a ghost tour, so we'll just come back earlier, finish out the rest of the stops, and then go on our ghost tour.
Yep.
I love this area. I'm blown away.
Yep.
I actually thought today was going to be pretty boring and just like a bunch of boring history. As I said before, I don't really enjoy history, but it was full of history. It was full of great stories. These CDs that we bought are phenomenal. Not only did the CDs tell you the history of the war, but they go off, as I said before, on side tangents and tell you personal stories of people that were involved in some way, whether it be a kid or a wife or brothers and sisters. So very interesting.
There's a lot of different audio tours available, but I chose this one because it looked to be very professionally produced, and I was hoping for exactly what we got.
Yeah.
I think it's great. You have all the sound effects, and like it's just a well done like audio tour. And I listen to a lot of audiobooks, so you can kind of really tell the produced ones and the not produced ones. So we'll link it down below which one we bought.
How much was it? Do you remember?
It was $30.
Okay, I think that's well worth it.
Yep.
If you had told me that before, I probably would have been like, oh my gosh, $30 on CDs, but they are really well made.
Yeah, and you get the guidebook like that has I don't know, bird eye view of like where you are to kind of tell you like where different troop movements were happening. So I think that's like cool when you're pulled over and you're like, oh wow, okay, so they came from over there and then these guys were over here.
And it has historical photos in there as well. They give you history behind those photos. So it's definitely worth $30 for sure.
Yep.
Especially since there's no entry fee. Was there?
No.
Okay. So yeah, what I thought would be a boring day turned out to be an amazing day. And to top it all off, my favorite part is that we got to bring Carmen along. I'm so glad it was dog friendly and not only the Gettysburg like museum and the driving tour. Obviously the driving tour is dog friendly, but the town. So it's great. There were so many other doggos walking around out here. Bring your dog, buy the CDs, do the audio tour.
Yeah.
I think that's all we can leave you with.
So comment down below if you've been here, or if you haven't, let us know somewhere that you went that you weren't as excited for and then you thought was awesome.
Yes. We love going to places like that, and we're so excited to come back next weekend. This is also a perk of coming somewhere or staying somewhere for 2 weeks. So I'm glad that we kind of slowed down our schedule and we're staying places 2 weeks now. Anyway, I think that's it. We're gonna finish our ice cream and head home. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to join our getaway gang because we'd love to have you. We'll see you next time. Bye guys. Carmen, say bye.
Carmen, come on.
Rude. Okay.
Sure.
Oh well. All right, so all right, so we're just about to get... You having a hard time?
Finally just got it.
Jason's been working on this for like 10 minutes. But, what?
I was gonna say.
Oh no, my ice cream's dripping. Okay, what? Yeah, you're not getting my ice cream. Sorry. She looks so creepy back there in the dark,
just in
just
the darkness.
lurking.